He was like, "Hey, Tony, I'm feeling great, but I just want to get in there one more time just to make sure nothing comes up."
That is the perfect patient. Love it. Love it.
But now, different from you, because I have the physical therapy clinic, the funniest part, the most ironic part in all of this is today I've got something kind of exciting to talk about. Let me pull it up on the screen. I was so fortunate to have Dana Strauss reach out and share this. Now, like you guys always hear me say, there are I think they say great minds think alike. I had found a YouTube video talking about HIMS and HERS, the business, talking about their marketing strategy, talking about how incredibly successful they've been. And then literally the next day, Dana messages me through LinkedIn, shares with me this post from Dr. Eric Bricker. I will put a link to this. Let me see if I can grab a link right now. Copy link. I'll put this out to all the platforms so you guys can go check it out. This is on LinkedIn. Just a little context. You guys probably saw the HIMS and HERS TV commercial during the Super Bowl. The breakdown here. So $5.8 billion startup. Like, how crazy is that? Now $13 billion. I'm just reading through some of the key points in Dr. Bricker's post. It's a direct-to-consumer telemedicine company. I know Dave and I don't see eye to eye on telemedicine, but there is absolutely huge benefit to it. They had $400 million in revenue in the recent quarter for 2024, $51 million in profit, 2 million subscribing customers. Just imagine those numbers for a second. It was founded by a healthcare outsider, a guy named Andrew Dudum. So the most interesting thing about this, and I've shared this before, I'm a physical therapist. I love physical therapy. I'm passionate about the profession. I'm passionate about helping patients. I'm actually here in my clinic this morning, but I am not the best person to start a physical therapy business. Even though I've done it, it's not necessarily the most successful. It's not the right way to do it. Let's pause. Let's bring Dave in. Dave, good morning. How's it going, man?
Hey, Tony, good morning.
So I just started the breakdown a little bit. You can jump in here. I'm sharing the LinkedIn post. And so we were talking about big numbers, $13 billion HIMS and HERS telehealth company. I was saying it was started by an outsider, a guy named Andrew Dudum, who really, it's a 29-year-old marketing guy who started the company. And I think when you start a company with a different perspective, you get different results. I shared a post yesterday talking about Ray Kroc and McDonald's, talking about Sam Walton and Walmart, talking about Starbucks. And I was like, imagine if any of these guys was worried that when McDonald's was growing and expanding because they didn't have the best hamburgers and the mom and pop shop down the street was going to criticize them for the quality of their burger. Imagine if they stopped doing what they were doing. Imagine if Sam Walton stopped creating the retail giant because a mom and pop shop was upset with what he was doing. Like, if we're rocking the boat, if we've got other therapists telling us we're doing it wrong, we're probably onto something great. So real quick, just going through the rest of this, company started by a marketer. I already mentioned that they had the Super Bowl commercial, telemedicine visits. It's a seamless kind of experience that he's created, going from the telemedicine straight into the prescription, straight into the fulfillment of the medication with their pharmacy. But the most interesting thing, and this is where I'm going to bring you in, Dave, HIMS and HERS spends 45% of their revenue on marketing. 45% of revenue, not even profit, revenue is spent on marketing. What are your thoughts about kind of the big picture of the company? What are you thinking?
It was a good reminder to read the post, so thanks for sharing it. It was a good reminder that that they're completely out of pocket, that no insurance is involved. So that's pretty cool. The list of the, HIMS versus HER items, I would say are either typically more in the want category, like I want this or I need this, as opposed to like kind of ancillary, like maybe I could find the solution somewhere else, or maybe I can wait, or maybe I just, someone calls around and is looking to use their insurance for those items. And I guess you could use your insurance for some of those items elsewhere. I just didn't realize that they were, completely out of pocket. And I know that they're direct to consumer. That's obvious with their ads and all that. I just didn't realize there was no insurance at all. So kudos to them, because obviously, like the way that they're spending 45% of their revenue, it's all about marketing and growth. It's not about profitability at this point.
I mean, I couldn't even operate. Like, I'd be starving in the streets if I spent 45% of my revenue on marketing. Let's hit some of these key points. He listed 4 key points in this post. Number 1, they have a distinct offering, i.e. different offerings for men versus women. Now, something I want to do with you, Dave, is after we go through these 4 points, I'm going to pull up their Facebook page. I want to go into their Facebook ads, just because that's an easy way to look at some of the content they're putting out. But what are your thoughts on different verbiage, different messaging based on different populations, in this case, men versus women?
Yeah, I mean, most of their ads are, I think the Super Bowl ad was the first one that combined the HIMS versus hers, I believe, right? So most of their ads are just, you see in the subway somewhere, like at a bus stop in New York City, you see a commercial, whatever, like, and it's usually just the HIMS ad, or then usually separately, it's usually just the hers ad. So when it's the one gender at a time, you can obviously be very direct and very specific about their biggest pain points, their challenges. You can kind of, scratch the pain. You can kind of provoke the pain of like that avatar's issue. So yeah, you can get very direct, as opposed to, like, for example, like our physical therapy marketing, where we're not really talking typically. Sometimes I think there's newer physical therapists that are targeting, like, especially if it's, male pelvic floor, or if it's, a female pelvic floor only. I think you'll see a little bit more there, like gender specific marketing. But before this, you didn't see much of it in healthcare.
Yeah, if we take a look, so I'm on the website right now. You scroll over to the drop-down menu on the HIMS.com side. You've got sexual health, weight loss, hair regrowth, mental health, skin, everyday health, right? Like, these are clearly things that they believe are important to the male population. In the video, Dr. Bricker talks about that, and he said on the women's side, you've got wellness and other things that are kind of more important to what they believe the female population is looking for. And then we've got the significant importance of marketing. There are so many clinicians out there that are amazing clinicians. They're far better than me. They have deep specialization. They have deep knowledge, but nobody knows about them. They're completely invisible. For people that maybe weren't on last week, give us an idea of what you're spending right now on your marketing budget.
I'm glad that you asked, because I'm about 13K in since February 1st. So today is February 18th, just for context. Let me refresh it. Let me go from February 1st up until, what are we at, the 18th? Today is usually not much. Let me refresh my page. So I'm looking at my Google ads here. Happy to share February 1st to the 18th.
While you're looking, Will Boyd's with us. Scott's with us. Will said, got to spend to capture market share. I remember, I hope it's okay for me to share what Will told me a while back. He said that Will and Alex had just pivoted. They weren't even wasting time with organic as much. It was all paid. And they were doing great. That's what they felt was giving them the best return for the time and the money that they were investing.
All right, since I'm on my phone,
yeah,
I can share it the old-fashioned way. So first of all, so confirm with me, Tony. Confirm with me the date range. Can you see the date range?
February 1st to February 18th, 2025. Confirmed.
Okay, and this is Google Ads.
Cost $15,000. 2,000 clicks, 45,000 impressions, 473 phone calls. Who's answering 473 phone calls?
Oh, that's my answering service. Real humans going through my script and just capturing the lead information, and then the lead information gets emailed and texted to me. Now, the problem with that, it's not that full amount of phone calls because some of the ads are the click to call, which costs more. The click to call is if you Google something and it has like the little phone, like an actual old analog phone icon. You tap the ad once, and then at the bottom so this is on mobile. Then at the bottom, this is a click to call is only a mobile ad. You tap it on Google, you tap the phone number, and then it pulls up I'm using my phone right now for this, so I can't show it.
Yeah.
It's like a 2-tap, and then you're calling the business. So the first tap is you clicked on the ad, and it brings up the phone number at the bottom of your iPhone. Then you have to tap it again as if you're calling any other person in your contact in your phone list. So it's 2 taps, and then you're calling that business. So that ad costs more than a regular search display ad. And so sometimes people will call that, and then my answering service phone number, before it starts ringing, it says, "Thank you for calling Concierge Pain Relief Home Physical Therapy." And then the phone starts ringing. So some people, I don't know what percentage of it the time, but some people are hanging up around that time, or when the answering service person answers, they're hanging up. I'm paying for those leads. I'm paying for those clicks, those impressions and those clicks, which is fine because again, the winners cover all the losers. The patients that stay with us for a long period of time, pay for all. Now, another thing, because I figured I thought you would ask, so that's why I had this ready. But if you didn't, I was going to say there's a difference between a startup like HIMS and HERS that they raise a ton of money. They're raising investor money. They're raising millions, if not.
Do you know that? Because Will was asking. Will said, "Would be curious to know if they're backed by VC who could float them during the."
Of course. I mean, I don't know, but
are they a public company right now?
I don't think so.
Okay. How are we getting annual reports? Like, how are we knowing what they're spending if they're not public? If anybody watching knows,
I'm looking at their Crunchbase investor profile. There's some information there. Oh, they are. Oh, I'm sorry. They are public.
Yeah.
New York Stock Exchange HIMS. So they are public. So that's why we have a lot more data available. Okay. There you go. Now, before they were public, though, they absolutely were funded by VC. And I got to tell you, like, we're talking about spending 45% of your revenue on marketing. You could companies can go public like Uber and basically be slim margins or almost at a loss because they know that if they just fired a bunch of people, if they stopped all their marketing for 30 days, whatever, they would immediately be profitable. They could be profitable sooner than 30 days probably. So, but Tony, I want to float this out for our listeners and our therapists watching and our folks in healthcare, because I think what they're in is what this is. HIMS and HERS is like a different world, right?
Yeah.
And that's funny money where you raise millions from investors. But what I just showed you, that's $15K of mine, like from a credit card, and someone's got to pay that. Someone, meaning me, meaning my current patients, my new patients, like someone's paying for that. It ain't investors. It's me. It's the person you're listening to and watching right now.
It's coming out of Mini Dave's bank account right now. That's where that money is coming from, and it better go back into his future bank account.
Here's where it's really coming from. It's either coming from ideally I want it to come from the new patient's income, like the new patient's revenue and the profit, the margin of these new patients in the cycle that we're spending X amount of dollars. Of course, some of it is coming from the past patients that just stay with us and their credit card, and like their fee, like their revenue comes into the bank account. So some of that money is subsidized from the previous patients. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's who's paying the credit card within 30 days, right? So it's not really coming out of my bank account. In the beginning, of course it was, and that was like way more risky when you're learning ads. So I think, I just wanted to like level with the folks, anyone watching or listening now or in the future, because that's the way I think of it. And if you're looking at this, HIMS and HERS, like 45%, that's their high growth and they just care about market share. But I just wanted to, kind of lower it down to like the therapist practice level.
Yeah, let me see if I can share this with you guys. Okay, so this is where we were looking before. You can see here, this is the HIMS, And I already said when you click on this, okay, priority, sexual health, weight loss, hair loss, mental health. Then when we go over to the HERS and we take a look, how do I get that side menu popping out? Well, we've got weight loss, anxiety, control your cycle, like clearly very different topics. I had shared a post recently where I was saying, hey guys, who's putting out seasonal ads or seasonal content? Like here in Ohio, we just finished basketball for 7th and 8th grade. Now we're moving into boys volleyball. And so I know there's going to be a ton of kids out there with patellar tendon issues, shin splints, all this kind of stuff who are going from basketball to volleyball, high school boys, middle school boys. So I'm going to create marketing targeting that demographic and more particular, the parents of those kids, because the parents are the ones who are going to be sitting there thinking, what do I do? Who do I talk to? How do I find out what my kid's trying to tell me when he says, his legs hurt? This is inside my Facebook business page, million views in the last 28 days. I've been hovering around 1 million views a month for 2-3 months now. But the main thing that I wanted to show everybody watching here, so you can see this is arranged by date over the last 90 days, but the newest, like almost 3,000 views on this, no pain, no gain, another 2,000. But here's one for 15,000. February 12th is when I posted it. I added a button to this. So these are just ads, but they're not paid ads. They're organic ads. It's an organic post I put out there. 15,000 views. It's been up for almost 3 days now. This is all organic. There's no money behind it. And a lot of these, Facebook allows me to put a button that says call now. So the viewer clicks the button and it rings here at my clinic. It calls this phone. I don't have a good mechanism for tracking those calls and really understanding who's calling from Facebook versus who's calling from something else. But if this has 15,000 views in 3 days, this might be something I put money behind and kind of give it that push, better track the analytics from how this is converting. Right now, I'm doing this not just for, the free content, but I'm also saying, hey, we've got a $499 special deal. Come in for the newbie treatment, the soft wave treatment, 4-week protocol, just $499. Because going full circle back to the original LinkedIn post, let me see if we get this back up here. He was saying, significant importance on marketing, seamless internet to home delivery experience, variety of price points. This was the one thing I probably disagreed with him on. And maybe you and I can talk about this. So Hermosi was saying just one product, one price to $1 million. Like if you're not doing $1 million in revenue, don't even mess with complicating things. Obviously, none of us at this level are doing over $1 million in revenue for a single item. And when you go to a typical therapy website, you see we treat back pain, knee pain, hip pain, everything. It reminds me of Kramer from Seinfeld. He is like, I don't want to go to a human doctor. I want to go to a veterinarian because they have to be able to see a dog, a cow, a horse, a sheep. We should be focused on one price. And that's why I like just sticking with, just give me $500. I don't care what I'm doing. Just give me $500 for this. We'll take care of it. One price, one vertical, one service. Keep it simple. But even though I like that, I don't follow my own advice. And you guys see me marketing other things and talking about other things. What are your thoughts on, he was saying multiple price points for different consumers?
I think I might have mentioned in the show, like I've tested different dollar amounts over the years. I think you should, like actual different dollar amounts. So over the years, $197 for a home visit, $225, $227, $249, $250, $275, $300, $310, $350, and then so depending on the distance and I didn't say it was more because it was further away or whatever, but I've tested different dollar amounts in terms of the actual figure. I could basically tell you, if we don't have to do it right now, but if we pulled up Google Maps around the New York City area, I could tell you like what is the pricing elasticity in like different areas of the city, which is kind of funny on average. So like certain boroughs and certain areas of the city, like obviously Manhattan would be the highest, like, right? So like, and then there's other areas where it's like no one's paying out of pocket at all. And then there's like everyone in between. So there's nothing wrong with that, especially like if you have like a specific offer and you can test it like a new offer. So not you're Hormozy, like talking about like one core service, but if you do a promotion differently, golf swing analysis or return to golf program, whatever, like if you just named it, it's easy to make it seem like it's a different service, although the fulfillment is the physical therapist evaluating someone's movement, their biomechanics, and doing drills or doing hands-on or whatever. So like the fulfillment is actually like whatever someone went to school for, and you don't really need to change what the therapist is doing. But because it's a different promotion, it's a different offer, it's easier to test a different dollar amount. I think there's other therapists out there that would not do what I do over the years and try like different dollar amounts for the same core service for different people who's calling in. I think it's easier for mobile compared to brick and mortar because you're afraid like someone's talking about how much they paid, and like you don't want someone in your office saying, "Oh, I paid $227," and then someone else is like, "Are you serious? Like I'm paying like $310 a visit," and we're all, we're all coming to the same office. Although the treatment could be different, and there could have been some upsell that they got or whatever. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents on it.
Real quick, Ron Miller is here. Ron says, "Good morning, fellas." Ron, I'm actually trying to get down to the Rehab CEOs live event in Orlando. It's in April. If I get down there, I want to swing by and shake your hand and say hello, but thanks for showing up this morning. Dave, to your point, yeah, the resistance I get every single time from physical therapists is, well, if I charge this for this person, how do I charge something different? And what happens if they talk to each other? Who cares? Like gas prices change every day. It's just a normal thing. And the beauty of the word physical therapy is it could be anything. I've got people coming in to ride the bike. They call that physical therapy. I'm going to do my physical therapy today. And in their mind, they're riding the bike, and that's physical therapy. You got so much variety within that word. It's like, I'm eating food today. That could be anything that we want. I test prices all the time. Half of it, is low price, low complexity. Somebody wants to come in for $100 as much as they want. No problem, because they're not necessarily going to get the complexity of somebody who's paying $500 for a session because they're traveling from out of state, and I'm going to dedicate my full time and focus to that person. We should be testing different prices. And even if you have an insurance-based practice like me, you can still make different prices work. Like we don't have as much restriction as people want to self-impose. Let's jump into
one other thing. I'm sorry, real quick. Back to your organic post.
Yeah.
So you were saying the button call now or whatever the button said. Was that it?
Yeah. Let me see if I can pull it up here. I'll show you guys.
So one thing that I think Tony should do, and maybe you'll do it, maybe you don't, but right now you have your main office line typed into that. So when they click the call now button, it goes right to your office. You and your front desk or whoever, no one is asking, how did you hear about us, whatever. You're just like onboarding the new patient. So all you have to do, you go on Google, the old Google machine, and you find an answering service that's like $30 or $40 a month, and they charge about $1 something per minute after that. Like, you get for $30 or $40 a month for an answering service. So you get a new phone number, a new temporary phone number that's tracking this particular post, or you could just use this for all of your organic Facebook posts. So if someone clicked that, it came from an organic post and they didn't click on your Google business listing or something else. $30, $40 a month, you get X amount of minutes. There's a software you log into. It's very simple, and they charge like $1.20, $30, $40, whatever per minute. So it doesn't come out to that much money, but you would be able to see how many calls come in through that organic post specifically, or you could use the same phone number for 10, 20, 100 organic posts, and that would just be your organic post number. Or you just take this phone number that you pay for, you test it with this post, the call now, it goes through that phone number. So you know people are clicking on this post. That's how they found you, or that's why they're reaching out to you. So you know, like if they're reaching out, they're like, you already know before you even call them back or before you learn more information about them, like, you know, it's a knee issue, maybe it's a total knee issue, whatever. That would be a way to track it. And then you can find out, like, Tony, if you did a trackable phone number for 10 total knee replacement posts, right, on your Facebook page, and you're like, wow, like 90% of these calls come from this post, right? So then you take that post, and what would we do with it? We would double down.
Yeah.
We would spend more money. That would now become like the main ad that you would run most of the money behind for your Facebook advertising. So you like found a winner, and at the same time you got a little bit of marketing attribution. You found out like where, not just are these people coming from word of mouth, or they're coming from Facebook or your YouTube or whatever, like where are they coming from, but actually coming from a specific post is pretty fascinating. And then doubling down, if you wanted to, you could use a separate number to then run, you know, a ton of money through that one Facebook video as a video ad, because you already got it as a qualifier from your testing.
Yeah, and this is where I think go high level users can generate digital numbers that they can track incoming calls through. That's what Joey was working on with me for some stuff. If you look on the page, you can see this little call now button on a cell phone. You just push it and it dials and calls through. I'm pretty sure I can track some of those incoming calls directly from here, at least to see, like you who clicked it, how many calls did we get. But, you know, what holds me back always is my desire to learn more than my interest in success. I really don't care as much about success as long as I have what I need in regards to like families taken care of and all that kind of stuff. I just enjoy the learning process. People are ready to take that over and do a real marketing campaign. I haven't been willing to let it go yet. Jumping into the HIMS and HERS Facebook, if you guys don't realize, and you're like, well, how do I find this information? If you go to the Facebook page, now I'm on a desktop, I'm sharing my screen. I go to their business page. I go to, and you can do this on your cell phone too. I go to this section that says page, health and beauty. I click on that. I scroll down and I'm looking for go to ad library. And then once I click on that, it takes me into their ad. Let me show you. Here we go. So now I'm in their ad library. Now, I think there are third-party softwares you can use to see how the ads actually perform. But on the free level, just in Facebook, this is where you can come in and you can see, okay, what's the ad copy they're using? What video?
How HIMS is helping them keep the weight off. Zachary is a real HIMS customer who...
Now, I would take this and I would literally just, let me show you real quick. I'd copy that ad copy. I would go into, I'm going to share my screen, ChatGPT. I'd say, here is an ad that I would like you to model, turn it into a physical therapy ad for adult men. No, they're adult women who have frozen shoulder. I'll drop it down here, let ChatGPT do its magic. And then the whole idea here is I'm not just going to let it write it. Then we're going to go back in and tweak it. And then from this, I can get it to generate a sample script so that I'm going to let it go for a second. I'm going to come back. We're in the ad library. Let's listen to this for just a second.
How HIMS is helping men keep the weight off.
Okay, so how Total Therapy Solution is helping women get back to brushing their hair or whatever.
Zachary is a real HIMS customer who lost 119 pounds in 9 months. Drew's a real...
Now you guys have seen, I've got tons of videos of real patients in the clinic. They're using that model. They're doing a before and after. So I would say Janet is a real patient at Total Therapy Solutions who couldn't lift her hand high enough to touch the top of her head. Now she's, throwing a softball.
real HIMS customer who lost 22 pounds in 4 months. I got a personalized weight loss plan made for me. It helps me curb cravings and suppresses my...
Now, something I did last night was I turned on my mic. I recorded the audio from the video, and then I turned that into a transcription that ChatGPT could then process for me. But, so like this is not a good out of the box ad, but this is a starting point. And then this is where I would start to plug in what are the pain points for women with frozen shoulder. I know that they've tried these other things. I know they've done these other things. They're frustrated by these certain things. I might indicate little things like, frozen shoulder affects women more than men. It may be a hormonal problem. So even though you're trying to address it with exercise, it might be something in your hormonal profile that needs to be addressed. Like little things that they would be like, yes, why is nobody else talking about that? That's exactly what I'm dealing with. I might say something related to, if you're dealing with thyroid issues or hair loss or other skin, eczema, other things that might be consistent with hormonal changes or autoimmune conditions. We might be trying to treat your frozen shoulder with the wrong treatments. Thoughts? Where are you going? What are you thinking?
I love it. I mean, this I would say is a little, it's great. It's a little, I don't want to say advanced, but like at the very least, like anyone watching, listen, like you should be running and testing and considering testing some of these Facebook ads, some of these Google ads already. If you're not already, then once you do that and you're comfortable, and then you ramp up your spend, and then you're at a point of like, well, I'm spending a lot and I'm trying to get, ROAS, return on ad spend and all that. That's when you would step into this next phase. I would say like if you're not running ads is one place, then you are running ads. But then what we're talking about is like the next level of running ads where you're getting a little more specific. You're spending more time and energy in, squeezing a little more juice out of what's possible with ads. But it's not that big of a jump. Like I think we're demonstrating like it's not that complicated. And now there's tools like ChatGPT and other things where you can actually use things like Tony just showed. Like what you just showed is totally possible and relevant. And you don't need a media buyer. You don't need a marketing person. You don't need a marketing department. Like anyone could be doing this. And it just makes sense. I love your demonstration.
Yeah, I agree. It is advanced. And a lot of times what I'm doing with that is I'm just saying, hey guys, you don't have to remember all of this. Just this gives you an idea of what kind of information is available. As a learner myself, I like to get exposed to the big picture. I like to see what's possible. And then if I'm motivated to, I'll go back and start building kind of that pyramid of knowledge so I understand, okay, first I need to do this, then I need to do that. What kills me is and I've been in that world for 20 years. So many therapists just spending money on ineffective ads, and they're frustrated and they're saying ads don't work. But we've got this little sliver of people who are proof ads do work. You just have to have the right ad, speaking to the right person at the right time, at the right point in the journey. And so it's just like the person that comes in, does 3 kettlebell swings and says kettlebells don't work. Well, no, it's just you don't have a framework for it to achieve the goal that you wanted to achieve. Dana had asked me, and I want to answer, what do I think about this? Let me share it again. The Dr. Bricker video. The video is awesome. I've seen him before. I've followed him before. I think what is hard for me, and Dave, I think you probably would agree. Look at that board behind him. Like
he fills up these whiteboards like no other. I follow him I was about to say Instagram, on LinkedIn as well. I think I even subscribe to his YouTube channel. He's very animated. I love the way he kind of enunciates, and sometimes he like you can see his hands moving like crazy. Yeah. If you're watching on the video, I love his videos. But he fills up that whiteboard like no one I've ever seen.
Yeah. So if you're the type of person that can process and understand and resonate with that, I mean, all of his information is great. All of his videos are great, but I could see that being overwhelming for a certain personality type. Another great video that I found on this topic. This is the one that I had watched before Dana shared that one.
HIMS and HERS is growing.
I'm going to mute it. I'm just going to let it play in the background, but I'll share for anybody who wants something a little kind of lower key, maybe a little more calm. This will go, who's Future Proof PT? I've seen the name, but I can't think of who you are. So drop your name if you will. It's part of his shtick. Yeah, I totally get it. And it works for him and it works for his audience. Oh, it's Dana. There you go. I guess I didn't realize you were the Future Proof PT. Good to know. All right. What else? I don't want to beat that horse any more than we need to. What else is going on? I can't hear you. Hold on. You're muted. Wait.
Capper.
Go ahead.
Just to recap and wrap up. So like, why would you be putting the HIMS and HERS ad in ChatGPT and then, how to generate an ad like that for my physical therapy practice? Why? The whole point is because you want to get the potential new patient down the street from you, the potential community member nearby. You want to catch their attention and you want that person to read or see your ad and you want them to say or feel like, wow, that's different and that place gets me. They understand me. That's why you would make this next step up from like just regular like running ads to something that's a little more optimized, a little more, slightly more advanced. And that's the whole reason, is just to make a better presentation of your marketing, of your ad, get more interest, more clicks, potentially lowering your ad cost or just getting more return on your ad spend itself. So if anyone's thinking like, why would you do this? And why can't we just, run a regular ad with my marketing person? That's all. I mean, you don't have to do this, but like, this is just like, a slightly next level, a little bit more advanced. But again, if you're going to be spending money, if you're going to be paying like I am, if you're going to be spending money on Facebook ads and Google ads and the way Will Boyd and many others are spending money on paid media, like if you're going to be doing that, like why not optimize it? Why not try to tweak it? And you could have your original one and then you can compare it to like this one that Tony just did and optimize it. And you can kind of compare like which one, and maybe the old one still outperforms the new one. Maybe not, but you can give us feedback on that.
Yeah. I use ChatGPT as, my sounding board. It helps me organize thoughts into a cohesive like message. I get so fragmented and things are going in all different directions. So ChatGPT kind of focuses me back in. Then I add context and we just go back and forth. Usually it takes 3 or 4 iterations before I have something that I'm ready to share. And then I put it out and I test it and I see what happens with it. Hit the ChatGPT message with my video. That seems to be the sweet spot formula because my video will get views. And then I think that helps Facebook understand, okay, who's the target audience for this content? Facebook pushes that organically out to the right people, even though these are people outside of my physical therapy circle, radius of who's going to come to my clinic. But there are still going to be people locally who see that as well. And so real quick, since I've got it up, I shared this since we're on the topic of, okay, there's HIMS, there's HERS, targeting different communities, targeting different demographics. I put this in my Facebook group. This is a screenshot. What I do is I go straight to ehealthinsurance.com. I put in my zip code. So these are available insurance plans in my community, in my area. If I was looking to buy insurance, this is where I would go. And this is just 3 of the HMO plans. There's 47 plans available. But take a look at the specialist visit copay on these plans. Dave, you probably can't see it. Medical Mutual, HMO, Bronze Select, $125 copay for physical therapy services. They don't even allow $125 for a 4-unit visit. The copay exceeds the allowable amount. Then their silver plan is a $70 copay. Better Health Solutions has a $60 copay after the high deductible has been met. So what I was saying was, Dave's got a great knowledge of SEO. I've got a little SEO in my background. I would be creating messaging targeting people in Middletown and Monroe who have Medical Mutual Bronze Select with virtual wellness. I would say if you have this insurance and you've been prescribed physical therapy, I just wanted you to know your copay, whatever, $125, but we've created and like Jimmy McKay, who might be here on Thursday, says you got to name the program. We used to call it like a deductible saver, copay saver. We used to come up with different names, but basically a plan that says, okay, if you have a referral for 12 visits from your doctor doesn't know how much your deductible or your copay is. So what we did was we created a plan that allows you to come once instead of 12 visits. You can come for one visit. Now, I'm going to interject. If I was an out-of-network provider for MedMutual, I would say you can come for one visit. The total cost is $225, but you'll receive everything you need to do your therapy on your own. This way, if you go to an in-network provider who's going to force you to go for 12 visits, you're going to pay over $1,200. If you come and see us one time, you're going to pay $250 and get everything you need. And I'm confident that I could deliver everything that person needs. And I'm confident that if I realize, hey, this person legit needs more therapy than I can provide, I would just refer them to an in-network provider. Even if I said, you don't have to pay me, don't worry about it, I would know in the first phone call if this is somebody I could help. But like that's targeted message because the person with this plan either doesn't know or they're sitting there thinking, I can't afford $1,200 in therapy. What are my other options? What do you think about targeting specific insurance beneficiaries, Better Health Solution beneficiary, MedMutual, Humana, and targeting specific plans with your marketing?
For an in-network practice, it makes sense. I would never do it because obviously I don't take in-network insurances. So I would never, I'm trying to calmly not jump on this negatively. But if that's your targeting, that's your advertising campaign, Tony, like, your ideal client better than I do, right? So if that copay saver thing, like if that makes sense and like you have those folks that are calling in and looking to use their insurance, then like, of course, like an advertised campaign that says copay saver, this or that, like that type of a program, that makes sense for them. I don't like it for any self-pay out of network type practice because the focus is around the payer or it's focused around insurance. Or if you're in network right now and you're getting squeezed and you're like trying to consider like dropping the lowest paying contract and you're getting frustrated with all the, like in your Medicare Facebook group, there was someone, I think Katie or someone the other day talking about how nauseating and frustrating with some of these Medicare clawbacks, or I don't even remember the exact post, but I look at that stuff and I'm like, I am so glad I don't deal with any of that. And that type of a campaign that you're talking about is just getting more of those patients that are the beneficiaries of those insurances that want to use their insurance. And they don't care, in my opinion, they care more about the insurance. They don't care about your offering. They don't care about the patient experience on the phone. They don't care about a lot of things that allow you and I to actually like go out of network, out of pocket, raise prices. Like you're attracting more of those folks that are focused on the insurance coverage as opposed to like, tell me more about yourself and your story. And here's why we have patients and clients that pay out of pocket and it's not your fault and all that. Like, so I see how it can attract the highest paying in-network contract patients. So that's the niche where I guess it would work. I just personally would never do it.
So my perspective is it's hitting the gap between the person who will only go if insurance pays is not going to pay $250. The person who's looking to hire you is not going to be looking to save money on their insurance. But there's a gap between those two demographics, which is a person who says, my doctor said I need to go to physical. I've got a guy right now. Actually, I shared a hand. I don't do hands at all. But
yes, you do. I saw you do trigger finger with the.
I felt really bad for this person. He was confused and walked into my clinic and desperate for to do therapy. So my point in that is there's a sliver of the population that says, I don't want to do $1,200 of therapy when I don't even know what the heck they're going to do to me, but I'm willing to give it a shot. And I believe this is the demographic that says, look, I'm not paying for you to be my best friend, Dave. I'm not paying because I'm bored and I want to go sit at the physical therapy clinic for socialization. Like, just give me what I need to do and let me do it on my own. This is
and there are a lot of those folks. There's a lot of those people everywhere.
I'm sitting here right now as a newly 50-year-old who's like, man, I want a continuous glucose monitor, but I don't want to go to the doctor. I don't want to get a prescription. I don't want to go through all these hoops to figure it out. I'm on the edge of just saying, let me go find some MD online that'll just write me the referral so I can get the 24-hour or whatever continuous glucose monitor. I just want to see what it does.
There's got to be some telehealth company that allows you to do that.
For sure. So I'm willing to pay, even though I have insurance, but I'm not looking to go to like a functional medicine practitioner who is going to go through this deep, deep dive into my, history. I want something in between. That being said, let me share one other post since we're here. This might be more in your world, and I'm genuinely still shocked at the response that I get from other therapists. I know you saw this. This was a text that came in, I think it was Thursday. It was a Thursday morning. I shared it the next day. This was a person I had seen before. Is it possible to see you sometime today before 2 p.m. or anytime tomorrow? I've hurt my leg. Okay, most therapists are stopping at that point and they're saying, oh, this is a Medicare covered service. This is a Medicare beneficiary I'm talking to. So the person said, I've hurt my leg. Essentially sporadic shooting pain around the hip joint. I'm leaving for a golf trip. That's what I focused on. I'm leaving for a golf trip Monday. This would have been Thursday. I'm hoping to have it calm down before then. This one will be, quote, on the books, aka I will pay you.
So off the books.
Well, what he means is he doesn't want me to see him for free. He doesn't want me to bill Medicare or do any of that stuff. Not off the books, but I understand what you're saying. Okay. So I said, any chance you can come in Monroe Clinic between 10:30 and 9:45 or 10:45. The message came to me just before 10. It was 9:50 a.m. I said, come basically in a half hour. He said, I'll be there at 10:45. Thanks. He shows up at 10:30. We did soft wave, a little bit of newbie. We calmed down his symptoms. Now, the response that I got was
how much did you charge? What was the cost?
He usually pays $250 for a session. It's not a time session. It's just to access the equipment, the stuff that we have. So, but the response that I got from therapists was, how can you do that if he's a Medicare beneficiary? How can you charge him cash? Well, I mean, there's extensive policies saying Medicare doesn't pay for golf. Medicare doesn't pay for recreation. Therapists would say, yeah, but he has pain. I have pain. I woke up this morning with pain in my right shoulder. Like, it doesn't mean that I qualify for a medically necessary covered service. So I go through, I've done this for 20 years. That's why I roll my eyes. I go through, okay, here's the quote from Medicare that says the diagnosis alone it is not the only thing that justifies medical necessity. I show the quote that says, all of these other things Medicare doesn't pay for. I even recently shared, and I think you saw it, a denial that was sent to me, a screenshot, because somebody had put a patient on a recumbent bike. It was the 5th physical therapy visit. The note had indicated 3 units of exercise. Medicare paid for 2, refused to pay for 1, said that the bike was no longer medically necessary. It was the 5th physical therapy visit. Now, I don't know the documentation and all of the context behind it, but the idea is there's ample evidence to suggest Medicare does not pay for everything. This is clearly a case where the guy was dressing, bathing, feeding, grooming, managing, doing all of this stuff. He was getting ready to go golfing, for goodness sake. Now, disclosure, if he came in and I thought he had a stroke, or he came in and I thought there was something significant and it was legitimate, he couldn't do those functional basic daily activities, it would have been a Medicare cover evaluation. But the context of the situation, absolutely not. And this is an individual who wanted to enjoy his trip. he didn't even need that much. He just needed peace of mind. He needed me to tell him, look, this is fine. You didn't hurt anything. You didn't strain anything. You have full capacity to do it. So I ended up seeing him Thursday. I saw him Friday. I said, if you still want to pop in Monday morning, I will see you Monday morning. We did. He was like, hey, Tony, I'm feeling great, but I just want to get in there one more time just to make sure nothing comes up.
That is the perfect patient. Love it. Love it.
But now, different from you, because I have the physical therapy clinic, the funniest part, the most ironic part in all of this is not a single one of those sessions was an hour. Not a single one of those sessions was private or one-on-one. In fact, when he came in on Friday, I think I shared this in a post, I probably had 6 people with me. I was by myself, no assistant, no front desk, nobody else, just me in a clinic full of patients. And he loved it. He was happy. And the way I know he was happy, besides him telling me he was happy, is he came back on Monday. So he had friends in the clinic that he knew. Like, we're in a relatively small town, so it's a tight social community. I share pictures of husbands and wives in my clinic, people that go to church together, their neighbors together. So it's not like there's an expectation that I'm going to dedicate an hour to him, but he doesn't care. He wants a solution. He got the solution. He was happy. Now, hopefully he's out on the golf course right now.
Now, when you do Softwave, you're one-on-one, and then you set him up on the newbie, maybe the setup is one-on-one, but then when he's on the newbie, you just walk away, you're with other patients. I'm just saying, if someone pushes back and says, it sounds like you did some one-on-one stuff with him, maybe not the entire visit was directly one-on-one.
I guess it depends on your definition of one-on-one. So if you imagine or visualize inside my clinic, and if you look at my videos, you can see it. The Softwave and the newbie are kind of set up next to each other in like a little alcove. The alcove is completely open to the gym. So it's like a T shape. He's on the treatment table, but then right next to him, I might be doing manual therapy while the newbie is running and he's exercising with the newbie on. So technically, when I'm doing the Softwave, I'm holding the Softwave device doing Softwave, but I've got 5 other people around us. We're talking to everybody. We're talking about the snow coming on Wednesday, and I'm telling other people what they should be doing next. And hey, patient, go head over to that. And you do the balance beam. But everybody loves it, and most of them are private pay. So they have the option to just not come if they didn't like it. That's where it is.
So, yeah, I mean, makes sense. I know I've said it before, but I think it's a gigantic number of therapists across the country that are doing even outpatient or in the home Medicare Part B covered service where they would bill Medicare for that patient. They had that exact patient. So he had whatever pain, back pain, leg pain, whatever. He told you, the therapist, that he was going to go on a golf trip, and the therapist, most of the time, 70, 80, probably 90% of the time, is billing Medicare for that encounter, for that visit, right? And if we had the Nancy Beckleys and the Rick Owendas of the world on here, I think they would probably side with you, as opposed to what most do in most practices, which is because it's free. They bill Medicare and say that the person has pain, but they have no deficits with activities of daily living, functional, personal hygiene, bathing, dressing, cooking, cleaning, all that type of stuff. Just, apprehensive, to not finish a full round of golf. But most are going to bill Medicare for it. But then they criticize you on a Facebook group saying they have pain, and they would. So it's maybe they don't even know what they don't know. They're just so stuck in the insurance Medicare, billing system.
Well, it's hard to tease apart the differentiation.
But it's not that hard. You just said it. You just said it earlier,
I know.
It's not that hard.
There's what Medicare pays for and what therapists, PTs, OTs, SLPs are trained to deliver. So somebody had said in the comment, well, aren't therapists trained to deliver sports performance? I said, yeah, 100% we are, but that's not what Medicare is intended to pay for. And then somebody said, well, isn't all pain covered by Medicare? No, 1,000% not. And when I go to the Medicare policy, and you guys can do this, CMS Chapter 15, Section 220, you look at all, thousands of words in there, Control F and do a search for pain. I think it shows up twice. and even within that, it's not even saying we treat pain. It's related to when pain doesn't let somebody function. So if I can put on my shirt, but my shoulder hurts, that's not necessarily guaranteed to be a covered service. Whereas I can't put on my shirt because of the pain. Last week I could put on my shirt, and there's a reasonable expectation that I'll be able to put on my shirt again in the future, but there's no single characteristic. You can't say, okay, well, the patient has a referral. That by itself doesn't mean that it's covered. The patient has pain. Patient is this. Patient is that. There is no single characteristic, even to the point where you would say, okay, this patient checks all of the boxes for what should be reasonable and medically necessary, but they just got discharged by the clinic down the street. Now, again, most therapists are going to pick them up and do a new plan of care, bill it to Medicare. But I think truthfully, if we looked at that as a biased observer, the patient just got discharged. Why are we picking them up again and billing Medicare again when that therapist is licensed just like you're licensed? All right, let's hit parting shots real quick. Mine is going to be, we can learn so many lessons from a marketing person who starts a business and understands how to communicate the value of that business to the target population. What do you got?
Figure out a way to spend more on advertising. One, it's a write-off. You could ask your accountant first, go call them first and say, hey, if I run Facebook ads or Google ads or whatever, Thumbtack, Bark, whatever it is, think of spending more money on those online channels as opposed to, no offense, because I love baseball, no offense to the local little league, but your banner in center field on the field that's in the back corner that 20 people see in the whole season, and maybe there's a little visual, like another touch point, okay, that local physical therapy office, Total Therapy Solutions, whatever, but spend more on it, paid media, figure out a way to do it. It's a deduction. It's a business write-off. Only do it if you're looking to grow and expand. And if you don't have the extra cash to do so, then you need to look at something. Maybe your units per visit is you're not billing well enough. You're not billing legally and compliantly. You're not billing, your therapist is not billing enough codes for the actual minutes and treatment that you're delivering. Maybe there's an issue with your billing and your accounts receivable. I don't know what it is. Maybe you need to drop some low-paying contracts, whatever. Figure out a way to have some extra cash. You take that extra cash and you deploy it on Facebook or Facebook ads, Google ads, whatever. And then you get more new patients from there. And then you do the same thing. You have, it's like the allocation, you just like keep kind of reinvesting it. That's what I'm doing. It's working well. So just a tip there.
Go Birds.
Go Birds. Super Bowl champion hat. I'll wear it next time.
If you guys are connected to Jimmy McKay, shoot him a message. Let him know you're looking forward to seeing him on Thursday. We'll catch you guys next time.
Hey, it's Dave Kittle. Are you a healthcare business owner or physical therapy practice owner who is looking to figure out your succession plan or exit strategy? We might be able to help. And in fact, we may be interested in acquiring your practice. If you're interested, you can reach out to me. Shoot me an email at dave@conciergepainrelief.com. That's DAVE at CONCIERGE painrelief.com. Or you can call me at any time, 646-781-8884.